33 verse 6. It says, "And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time, and strength of salvation, the fear of Yahweh as his treasure."
Why should I call and read again?
This is Isaiah 33 and 6.
Right.
It says, "And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time."
Right, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of that time. I mean, you talking about, we bring those precepts all the time, right? Why? Because you need to constantly bang this into your mind. Because this is gonna, like I said, it's kind of like practice. You know what I'm saying? When you practice whatever sports you play, you practice shooting. You know, they just say, just keep shooting. Because in a game, then you don't just think, it just comes natural. And that's the same thing. It's gonna come natural to us to weave in and out of the death and destruction that's coming to America, man. All the famine, concentration camps. Even when brothers will end up in concentration camps, brothers gonna know in the spirit how to move in the concentration camps. Who to talk to, who to not talk to. Right? We're gonna see a lot of things coming, man. Why? Because the Lord has prepared us for what? For this warfare, man. For the evil days, okay? For the hour of temptation, okay?
If I may use scriptures like this is Revelations 2 and 10.
Right.
It says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer.
Right.
Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried.
Right.
And ye shall have tribulation 10 days.
That's right.
Be thou faithful unto death,
Right.
and I will give thee a crown of life."
That's right. So the Lord is already preparing us, letting us know some of us are going to be put into concentration camps, okay? Some of us going to be putting into like some of these hidden prisons, fucking Guantanamo Bay, you know, that type of shit. I always say, listen, at the end of this thing, I always said that, you don't know where you're going to end. You know, when the Lord comes back, let's say you happen to be alive, you don't know where you're going to be at. I mean, you could be in freaking England. I mean, because the Lord's going to be, listen, the Lord's going to be moving pieces around. The angels going to be moving pieces around. Brothers going to get picked up by angels from one side, dropping another state, and these things are going to happen.
Like
you know what I'm saying?
Like that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. They thought they was in a regular prison, but they was on a ship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Out at sea some damn way. You know? How you gonna escape from that place? And that was the whole plan, to escape from that prison.
That's right, absolutely. So how do you prepare for that? The only way really is constantly doing what we're doing. Repetition, 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 bringing out these precepts. Also going into these stories. It's imperative that you don't just stay on precepts. It's good to have precepts, but you need to know why the precept, you know, why that precept is saying what it's saying. Because it's usually talking about, you know, actual things that happen to certain men, okay? So it's not about just going home and studying precepts. You know, let me just study precepts. What are you studying precepts for? What are you teaching? Right? What are you getting out of it? Okay? So it's about edification. And how do you get the edification? You got to read the examples, man. And the examples is right here in the scriptures. Now bring what's that? What you got?
Got precept?
Bring your precept.
It's Jeremiah 10 and 23. "O Lord, I know that the way of man is not himself.
That's right.
It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps."
Read it again, call it.
Come, this is Jeremiah 10 and 23.
Right.
"O Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself."
Right, the way of man is not in himself. So when people, you know, you got all these people out here bugging out and they think that they're doing their own thing, but they're really not. That's the scary part, all right? These people that are bucking, the majority of our people that's going to be destroyed, the Lord is actually allowing spirits to lead them into lifestyles that would get them destroyed. That's the thing, that's why we pray. That's right. Because we pray, I always go back to that movie, The Adjustment Bureau. You know what I'm saying? I always go back to that. We talked about that for years, remember? The Adjustment Bureau, where the Lord, out of nowhere, you could be at home eating. Right? You don't always have to be when you sleep. You could be at home eating, and all of a sudden, the Most High frees everything for a split millisecond, put you in a little time-space continuum, brainwash you. All of a sudden, you know, you talking about some, oh, ain't no such thing as thermonuclear missiles. The mark of the beast is not the microchip, it's Christianity. And you like, damn, bro, for 10 years, for 7 years, you believe, what happened? Well, the Lord cleaned up your clock, man. That's what he did. He cleaned your mind of the whole truth that he put in there. The Lord can do that. And that's what makes this truth so scary, man. Go ahead. No.
This is Jeremiah 10 and 23.
Right.
Oh Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself.
Right.
It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps.
That's right. It's not in man that walk to direct his steps. That's why you pray that the Heavenly Father guides you into righteousness. All right? And you pray that the Heavenly Father gives you mercy when you go off, because you will go off. That's why mercy is very important. Grace. All right? You got something else? Go ahead, brother. Second Ezra.
This is Second Ezra chapter 1 and verse 35.
That's right.
It says, your houses will I give to a people that shall come.
But it started on 34.
34. Second Ezra 1 and 34.
Right.
And your children shall not be fruitful, and they have despised my commandment and done the thing that is evil before me.
Right, because it's all, at the end of the day, man, it's all about, going back to the original topic, it's all about the comparison, compare and contrast, right, the elect and the two-thirds. It's very important that you be able to tell. The scripture tells you in Malachi that then shall you return to discern between him that serveth the Most High and him that, what? Serveth not the Most High.
Do you know who, when he says 2/3, you know what he's talking about?
The general population, or the population of the Israelites that are in the dark.
Basically, yeah.
That's right, the Israelites that are in the dark, absolutely. Right.
It says, verse 35, your houses will I give to a people that shall come, which not having heard of me, yet shall believe me.
And that's the thing about faith. Now back then the Lord was speaking to the Israelites in the mainland, okay? Israelites, especially the 3 tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, but really he was talking about the Israelites in the mainland. Why? Because you had this issue with Israelites in the mainland not accepting Israelite foreigners, Israelites of foreign lands, okay? So the Lord said that what? He was going to set up, he was going to bring about a jealousy, all right? He was going to make the Israelites in the mainland jealous by bringing in the Israelites that were born in foreign lands back into the fold, okay? To spark up that jealousy. But the Lord did that, you know, to see if I do that, is that gonna spark up the people in the land to get their act right? You know how when a woman, you know, I'm gonna go with the woman because it's all relevant, you know when a woman feels like, you know what, hey man, I'm the only one in this life, and she doesn't feel threatened to lose you, right? She can treat you all kinds of ways until you decide that, you know what, man, until she expects you to be home at 11 and you don't come home until 2 in the morning. That's right. She's like, uh-oh. Because see, now, all of a sudden, the next day, she bringing breakfast, you know what I'm saying? She cooking breakfast, she, you know, massaging your back and all that. Why? Because right there, she felt threatened. She felt threatened that you could bring somebody else, that you could be spending time with somebody else. So the Lord said, well, I'm going to stir up this jealousy in Israel by bringing Israelites, foreigners in the foreign lands, and bringing them back into the fold. And hopefully that's going to stir up these, you know, saying lame Negroes, right, to get their act right. But the Lord already knew that wasn't going to happen. So that's just how the Most High works. He'll give you an opportunity, right? But really it'll seem like an opportunity, but ultimately you're going to fail, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, he does it, why? Because the Lord has to show balance. Because he can't, what you won't be able to say is that you were never given an opportunity. Right?
It says, your houses will I give to a people that shall come, which not having heard of me, yet shall believe me.
That's right. So yet they haven't heard of me, they haven't seen me, but they believe me. That's faith, boy.
To whom I have showed no sign.
I have shown no signs. Man, listen. I would say this. We've seen certain signs of men that we felt like were potential, high potential, that they were angels and so. But me personally, I know about, but I know for the most part, because in scriptures, for the most part, brothers ain't out here communicating with angels, and angels, coming in and say, hey, brother, shalom, I'm Archangel Gabriel, I'm here to talk to you for a minute. You know what I'm saying? The Lord has sent me to say, you got to do this and this. And nah, man. Nah, the Lord is not doing that right now. He's saying it's solely going to be based on faith. You believing without me having to send on my servants and angels and stuff like that to confirm your belief, man. Right?
It says, yet they shall do that yet they shall do that I have commanded them.
Right?
It says
says, yet, read that scripture again.
God, it says, yet they shall do that I have commanded them. They have seen no prophets.
No, read that precept again.
Verse 35, 2nd Ezra 1 and 35. Your houses will I give to a people that shall come,
right,
which not having heard of me, yet shall believe me, to whom I have showed no signs.
I have shown no signs, right?
Yet they shall do that I have commanded them.
That's right. So I have not shown them signs yet. They're going to do the things that I commanded them. And really, all of us right now, and if you're trying to put this in perspective, we were all really in a state of like an Israelite foreigner type mindset. Because Gentile state of mind. Because, I mean, we didn't know the Israelites. I mean, the Lord poured the Spirit on us, and then we was able to understand that. But are we in the land of Israel? No. Do we speak the language? Now, we may know about the language, but we don't speak. You know, we don't say, yo, we out here fluently speaking the Lashon Kodesh. So that puts us in that mindset, but that mindset brings about humility.
This is John 20 and 29. Yahweh Shah saith unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed.
Ooh, that's right. You want to speak on that, man?
Yeah, read that again.
This is John 20 and 29. Yahweh Shah saith unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed.
Right.
Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed.
Right, and it all boils down to, like we were talking about, is faith. Because our people, they're looking for us to tell them what grocery store to go buy faith in.
Yeah.
They're asking us to provide evidence of something that's invisible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we weren't there. We were all, like you're saying, we were all in a position of Thomas. They're like, we need to know, we need to see what's going on. But then, when the Lord opened up our understanding, now we understand we don't need to see anymore. You know, I don't need to see the details of the kingdom or what it's going to look like. You know, I just need to know that it's going to come. And then I have a chance to get it. That's all I need to know in order to press on in this thing. This crazy ass society and world that we live in is about to be destroyed.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, the thing is, I mean, you know, we don't need, because see, that's the thing with the carnal mind, which these Israelites in darkness, like the brother said, they're carnal. They seek physical validation, you know, physical proof. But the scripture speaks of faith as something that's the evidence and the substance of things what hope for.
I got it right.
You know, so you got it? Bring it up.
This is Hebrews 11 and 1. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for.
Right, it's the substance. The word substance means understanding. It's the understanding of things hoped for. What is hope for? Those things that are hoped for, kingdom of heaven and so on and so forth, they're all in what? Prophecy. You see that? That's why we prophets, you know what prophets do? They prophesy, man. So what's up with these prophets, these other prophets that don't prophesy? What's up with that? It's all about prophecy, man. It says read that scripture again.
It's Hebrews 11 and 1. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for,
right?
The evidence of things not seen.
The evidence of things not seen. So although you're not physically seeing something, it is evident in your mind. It's without a shadow of a doubt that that thing is there. Now, if somebody asks you, well, how do you know it's there? Now, that's somebody who doesn't have that special gift of faith that was given to you. You got that Romans?
It says Romans chapter 8 in verse 24. It says, right. For we are saved by hope.
We are saved by hope. Remember the things that are hoped for. We are saved by hope. Go ahead.
But hope that is seen is not hope.
Hope that's seen is not hope. Right?
For what a man seeth, why doeth he yet hope for?
All right, so if you're able to physically see the kingdom, then what are you hoping for? True. This is clearly not the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? We can spiritually see the kingdom. That's why we what? That's why we grind. Because the thing is, once the kingdom is established, there is no work. There is no going out, you know, hey, brother, man, yeah, we gotta, you know, we're gonna preach this word now for infinity. Nah, hey, that's not gonna happen. This thing that we doing is because we in captivity. But at a certain point in time, the prophets, the role of a prophet, all right, is gonna be over with.
True.
Right.
This is Hebrews 4 and 10. It says, for he that enter into his rest, he also have ceased from his own works, as the Most High did from us. Let us labor therefore to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I mean, you want to labor to enter into the rest. You know, the rest is that's Yahweh Shah. You know, Yahweh Shah said he called himself the rest, meaning when you go with Yahweh Shah, he's gonna bring you to a place of rest, which is what? It's freedom, man. It's actual true freedom from captivity and freedom from, you know, wicked lust. All right, because I think there is no such thing as ultimate freedom where you don't belong to anybody. All right, that's the garbage that the world teaches you. But even the top elites in this world, they don't believe in that freedom. All right, why? Because the top elites control the whole world. They control your finances, they control your entertainment. All right, they brainwash you as soon as you come out of your mother's womb. And then what did they say about their school system and curriculum? No child left behind. You know what I'm saying? You think that these devils said that because they gave a shit about us? No, it's like, make sure everybody's brainwashed. Okay, no child left behind. And that's the same thing. When we go into the kingdom, it's going to be a similar thing. The Lord is going to have us brainwash the whole planet with our doctrine of truth.
They also push through the people that can't, the children that can't read and write.
That's right.
They still push them through. They still graduate them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Can I get a precept real quick?
Come on.
This is 1 Corinthians 1:18. For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved it is the power of the Heavenly Father. Verse 22. For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. But we preach Yahweh Shai crucified. Unto the Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness.
Right, because the thing is that, you know, we understand this as men of the Lord with wisdom, that just because a man is an Israelite foreigner doesn't make him an elect. Alright, so not every Israelite foreigner is an elect. That's why Paul even made sure to say, listen, to the Jews, meaning the Israelites in the land, right, they're bucking. But the Greeks, which were also Israelites, living in Greece, they were also bucking. So you had foolish Israelites call themselves Greeks, and you have foolish Israelites in the mainland, Jews. But out of all of these two groups, you have elect in that midst. And those are the ones that Paul was speaking to. Those are the ones that Paul wanted to reach the whole time. Okay?
Real quick, because in Romans the 11th chapter, it talked about the branches that was broken off. You couldn't boast against the ones that was broken off.
That's right.
If you boast against them, look at you.
Yeah.
You fallen too. You fell too. You were broken off too. Because why? You was in the land and didn't accept Yahweh Shai, man.
And the thing is that, you know, you think, you know, that the Israelite, because sometimes you may think that, well, the Israelite foreigners were just like super humble, super meek. You gotta understand, these dudes went to like Greek customs. Being a Greek back then was the shit. I mean, going to the Maccabees, it tells you that the Maccabees in the history. Being a Greek was like being white. Now being an American is the shit. Well, it's been the shit. Now it's kind of, you know, fading away. But that was the shit for a minute. That was the same thing with being a Greek. Can you imagine, we're in the high levels of America, you talking about in the 50s. And then you sitting around saying, instead of saying, oh, I'm an American, you like, nah, I'm a Ruski, you know, Russian. Nah, it wasn't cool to be a Russian. You know what I'm saying? None of that was cool. It was cool to be an American. Same back then, it was cool to be a Greek. So you had some Israelites, like, example, Timothy's father. He got caught up into the Greek life. You know, Timothy's father got caught up into the Greek life from birth. He didn't want nothing to do with his own original customs, all right, which was being what? An Israelite, man. He said, nah, I'm gonna ride that Greek thing to the end. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we teaching that Timothy's father, although he was called a Greek, he was an Israelite that was fully into the Greekish customs.
Was Demetrius an Israelite?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, we know who he is. You know, Demetrius. Hey, bro, who's Demetrius? Sarnetta, baby.
He was riding that wave
talking
too.
some shit this week.
Yeah, man.
We hopped on that vocab blade for a crash.
Yeah.
Talking about is the Most High good or evil? He needs to pick one and stop deceiving men.
There you go.
Yeah, he's
There
pulling
you
out
go.
precepts and everything.
There you go. That's the Mitzvahs. We called it early, man. The Mitzvahs silversmith.
Shit back up.
Yeah, cause you had an individual when you go into what's that, the book of Acts. Acts. But you know, Demetrius. Actually, let's get it. Let's get there. Let's get all.
If I can get something real quick, can you just read that, bro?
This is John 3:27. John answered and said, a man can receive nothing except it be given him from heaven.
Right, so that's like the brother was saying, as much as we want our people to believe, it's not even up to us. That's why we don't even care whether our people or whether they listen or whether they don't listen, because ultimately the Lord is going to do the increase.
Right.
Verse 28. Ye yourselves be Salah. Verse 28, ye yourselves bear me witness that I said I am not in Yahushua, but that I am sent before him. Keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
He that hath the bride is the bridegroom, but the friend of the bridegroom, which standeth and heareth him, rejoiceth greatly because of the bridegroom voice. This my joy, therefore, is fulfilled.
Right, because we're waiting for that marriage of the nation of Israel to Yahushua. Go ahead.
Come, verse 30.
And we're rejoicing in it. Even the friends of the groom are rejoicing. Go ahead.
Verse 30. He must increase, but I must decrease. 31.
That's the main focal point of everything that we do. We always put forth Yahushua in the foremost to bring ourselves lower. Put ourselves in the hindermost part, and him in the foremost part, you know?
That's right.
Go ahead, this is why.
Verse 31, he that cometh from above is above all. He that is of the earth is earthly, and speaketh
Right,
of,
go ahead, read that.
and speaketh of the earth.
Right, and what he's about to go into is an example of that, of how they speak of earthly things, but the Lord who's coming to get us, he's of heavenly things. But our people, they don't want to believe it, but they will believe it when he shows up.
Right.
Go ahead.
He that cometh from heaven is above all. And what he hath seen and heard, that he testifieth, and no man receiveth his testimony.
Right, that's why you don't see crowds of our people receiving our testimony or our prophecies.
That's right.
Go ahead.
He that received his testimony hath set to his seal that the Most High is true.
Right, and that's how we know that we got the truth. Because we set to our seal, like the scripture talks about how these people's, their minds are sealed with the hot iron. I believe that's in Titus. He sealed their mind and their conscience so that they can't believe. The same way that he sealed it and branded it in our mind that we believe. So if you can read 33 again.
Gun. Verse 33, he that have received his testimony have set to his seal that the Most High is true. For whom the Most High have sent speaketh the words of the Most High. For the Most High giveth not the Spirit by measure unto him.
Right, because you can have somebody who only knows a little bit, right? But they're coming straight out of the scriptures and breaking it down. Then you can have somebody who knows a lot and all he does is just talk. He don't even bring out the scriptures and try to explain to you what the truth is. But you can have somebody who's so-called small in the word and have that little bit of righteousness and be counted worthy in the eyes of Yahweh Shai. That's what that scripture's saying. Go ahead.
John 3:35, the Father loveth the Son and hath given all things unto his hand. He that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life, and he that believeth not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of the Most High abideth on him.
Right, and that's the 2/3, because this Zechariah, you hear we keep saying 2/3, that comes from an actual scripture, Zechariah, where he says that he's 2/3 of our nation. They're going to get consumed in the fire, but he's going to bring the third part through the fire and refine them as gold is refined. And that's the elect, the ones that have set to their seal that the Most High is true. And the thing about seals, when a king put a seal on something and gave it to his messenger, that seal wasn't supposed to be unbroken until he got to whoever was supposed to get it. And if it was, the messenger could get killed. The validity of the message has been tampered. Ours hasn't been tampered. Our seal is not being removed unless the Lord removes it himself.
That's right.
You know, Yahweh forbid.
Right.
That was it. That was the end of the chapter?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. We ain't get it, brother. Let's go into Acts. You just want to get it, like a little story of Demetrius, which like I said, we always say this for the longest. Now you have to understand, of course, you have to understand reincarnation. Reincarnation is biblical. You know what I'm saying? Souls are constantly recycled. When you die, the scripture tells you your spirit goes back to the man that sent it, and then you're sent back down to serve judgment on earth. It tells you that. All right, right.
God, this is the book of Acts, chapter 19, verse 24.
Right.
It says, for a certain man named Demetrius,
Right.
a silversmith.
Like a silversmith, just like what a silversmith back then was somebody who was a maker of idols, man. All right, he was a maker of idols. Because remember, you talking about ancient Greeks, so they had all types of different gods. All right, so a man like that, he would be responsible for making idols of all the goddesses, right? And if I'm not mistaken, that was Ephesus. So who was the goddess? Diana, right? So he was making a killing off of selling idols.
Bread and butter.
Right, that was his bread. That's right. That was his bread and butter, selling idols that he made, right, constructed, and to Israelites. But those Israelites called themselves Greeks. All right, you couldn't tell them they were Israelites, right?
Come. It says, for a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana.
There you go, silver shrines for Diana. Go ahead.
Brought no small gain unto the craftsmen.
See that? Meaning he made a killing.
Right.
Everybody knew who Demetrius was. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you had a group of Negroes, right, that were really heavily into that, the Greek customs and worshiping the goddess. And every time you needed a shrine, you got a brand new house and you wanted blessings from the goddess Diana, you know who to call, Demetrius. And he would put in the work. And it was not cheap, right?
It says, verse 25, it says, whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation.
Right, with others, but he wasn't the only ones. He was just the most famous out of all of the other silversmiths. So it was him and a company of silversmiths, right?
Right. It says, and said, sirs, ye know that by this craft we have our wealth.
He had a meeting. That's because remember now he's going against who? Paul. Because Paul is in the book of Acts when Paul is in Ephesus and all hell is breaking loose. The Ephesians, you talking about Mars Hill and all that. The Greeks love to debate. All right, everybody would just come up with their own shit and just debate all day. All right, and a lot of times they weren't trying to even make a point. They would just come together, right? They would have. Remember they ever had like a it looked kind of like a coliseum. Those were classrooms back then. It would look like a coliseum with stairs, with steps. People sat down and you came in and you just argue all day long. All right, right? Amphitheater, right?
In verse 26, it says, moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at Ephesus.
That's where you get that auditorium.
Yeah, the auditorium.
Right, that's exactly how it looked like. You remember, at the high school auditorium. That side is white. That's straight out of Greece, man. That's straight out of Greece, man.
And the way it was built, it
rose.
echoes the sound.
Right, it was like you sitting right here and you speaking in rose, like a half shape, half circle.
Auditorium is dealing with audio sound.
Right, that's right. That's a Greek thing, man. Right?
It says 26. It says, moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia.
Almost throughout all Asia, not just in Ephesus. Go ahead.
This Paul have persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands.
There you go. So basically, what Demetrius was saying is, Paul is bad for business. You know what I'm saying? Paul is bad.
They had newspapers. He was the front page.
Yeah. He had a meeting because it says sirs. Yes, so he called all the silversmiths and had a meeting. You know what I'm saying? About Paul. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
It says 27. It says, so that not only this, our craft is in danger.
Our craft is in danger, go ahead.
To be set at naught, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana shall be despised.
Right. By the way, remember, a man who worships money, that's his God.
Yeah.
Demetrius didn't worship Athena and none of that. He didn't work. That's how he made his money. You know what I'm saying? So the money was his God. All right, the silver was his God. Okay. Right. And he definitely put that before. He wasn't worshiping Athena, but he knew that. Hey, listen, religion. What? Religion brings money. So he was gonna make a killing out of that. Go ahead.
It says, and her, what is that? And her magnificence.
I can say this. That's why in the conscious community, they have all these lectures. You know, it's lecture after lecture after lecture after lecture. It's like, yo, where does it end? What's gonna be done? How many times you gonna lecture? How many times you gonna charge me?
What are they talking about? How black people gonna make money? Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's all they talk about.
Real estate.
It's just more debates and always setting up debates. But like, what comes out of the debate? Nothing. Which goes back to ancient Greeks. It was all about just showing up, debating, right? People buying tickets, right? And people making, you know, just sit there and just hear somebody ramble, right? And then they can't really prove a whole lot of that shit that they rambling about. But the Greeks were willing to hear anything. All right, right?
It says, it says, Salakia, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worship.
They're losing traction. The only reason why the conscious community even deals with us because they don't have nothing else to talk about. They're losing traction. We the hot topic.
Right, and they come against us, specifically Great Millstone, because we're the only ones that refuse to get into this whole debate thing. All right. Let me get Job 6 and 20, I think it's 6 and 24. We understand what this whole debate thing is all about. It's an old Greek custom. Okay? That's why the apostle said we don't debate. We know the truth and we're gonna stand by the truth. If you don't like it, keep walking. We're not debating with you now. We could have if you're making a great point in the scriptures, we could have a go back and forth for clarification. But we're not gonna set up a debate with people buying tickets and we meet up at a theater.
Well, like we always say, if
arbiters and shit.
The real reason why we're not debating is because, look, if you believe what you believe is so strong, then why don't you go out every single week and speak on it? If what you believe is so right and we're so wrong, where the hell are you at so people can come and ask you questions every single week?
That's right.
If your power is right. See, we out here.
That's why the Lord said, enduring sound doctrine. If you believe in your doctrine, endure that. The problem with all these other doctrines, these the House of Consciousness and all that, they don't stick to it. All right, they either stop doing it or they come up with something new. Okay, they don't endure their doctrine because their doctrine is not sound. It's just all a bunch of gibberish and just going back and forth, and people just want to hear themselves talking.
They got books. They're not out there on the blowhorn reading out of the book that they wrote. You know, trying to convince people. All these books, man.
Yo, they're not trying to convince you about being black and black nationalism. They're trying to convince you to put your money. That's right. To buy the tickets, to buy the merch.
Build a school.
Build a school. You know, it's not really about the student.